Crestview High School, where in a few minutes we will witness the game between the Crestview Rebels and the undefeated South Range Raiders. Hi everyone, I'm Jim Campbell along with Mario DiMartino. South Range comes in undefeated 5-0. Crestview is battling a slew of injuries that has really given them problems early in the year. That's why they're 2-3 headed into kickoff. And Mario, what's the approach that Crestview needs to take, that fans need to look for in order to have a good chance to win this football game?
Well, much like when Brookfield played against South Range last week, they took a very conservative approach, trying to keep a little bit of ball control, and they did that. And I think with a running back with a quarterback like Cable Hill and their host of running backs that they have and a decent offensive line, I think if they can control the ball a little bit, much like Brookfield did, I think they really have a shot in this game, Jim.
Meanwhile, South Range has its own injury problems, but a lot of good things still happening for them, obviously, at 5-0. What should fans look for from the Raiders?
Well, Peyton Remish, obviously, Matthias Combs, Anello Bazzacco, the host of characters that have really carried them throughout these first 5 wins of the season, and they've really put up good numbers, unlike Crestview, which has struggled on offense with a different kind of schedule, getting used to different players. South Range has really adapted, probably a different talent level just this year, and a lot of returning starters on the offensive side. And you know, they've got a really good team, as evidenced by their record and the way that they've played so far.
That sets the stage. Hope you can enjoy it with us. This is the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong. Kickoff is next.
The history, the sports, the stories, the events. Armstrong Local Programming puts the focus on our community. Watch to learn about new events or discover the rich history of our area. You can find local programming on your local programming channel and on demand. Want even more? Subscribe to the Armstrong One Wire channel on YouTube. It's our town all the time with Armstrong Local Programming. One Wire, infinite possibilities.
Next.
The history, the sports, the stories, the events. Armstrong Local Programming puts the focus on our community. Watch to learn about new events or discover the rich history of our area. You can find local programming on your local programming channel and on demand. Want even more? Subscribe to the Armstrong One Wire channel on YouTube. It's our town all the time with Armstrong Local Programming. One Wire, infinite possibilities.
Getting ready for football at Crestview, where tonight the Rebels at 2-3 are taking on the undefeated South Range Raiders, the leaders in their computer ratings region going into the game, as well as ranked number 2 in the state in Division 5. Both of these teams have their injury problems, but are trying to persevere. Depth, a little bit of a problem for Crestview anyway, although Coach Paul Cusick said if we're at full strength, I think we're as good as anybody at our level in the area. They're going to make the best of what they can tonight. The Rebels won the toss, deferred. South Range will receive and go on offense with Anello Bazzacco at quarterback. Peyton Remish is the primary running back. Trent Harold is in there primarily as a blocking back. Split end is Brennan Toy. Josh Steer is the tight end. Matthias Combs, a speedster, is the slot. At center, it'll be Levi Taylor, who returns to the lineup from injury. Christian Moss and Matt Brooks are the guards. The tackles are Jordan Lowry and Tyler Dolak. Dolak, a 280-pound junior. For South Range, on defense, at the ends, they'll go with Dante Polino and Wyatt Woodring. The tackles are Nick Sherrill and Dominic Perry. The linebackers, Dakota Stratton and Chuck Lindsay. The wide safety is Andrew Hardenbrook. The free safety is Stephen Barr. The strong safety is Danny Moore. The corners are Austin Brodigan and Jeff Feo. And we are ready for football at Crestview. It is a breezy night here, and you're watching it from our angle, so the breeze is blowing to the opposite side, directly across. And it is stiff.
Jim, this is one of the few games that we'll see this year that will be played really on natural grass. I mean, it's quite almost foreign now to see fields that still have natural grass.
I wondered what that was.
A little bit, yeah, like a little bit of brown, a little bit of green.
Looks like it's in pretty good shape, though,
Sure.
overall. Crestview's
Going to need a holder
yeah,
because of the wind.
Danny Moore, who has taken over kicking duties for Crestview, will kick off. Jeff Feo is the holder. And it's a line drive bouncer rolling up the middle, scooped up at the 15, dropped and picked that back up by Toy. And Crestview finally manages to wrestle him down short of the 25-yard line.
Nice job by Gabe Cusick initially to get down there for Crestview to kind of slow up Toy to allow the extra defenders there for Crestview to finish it off. So South Range will start off in some just okay field position to begin this game.
Well, after the kickoff was muffed a little bit, it could have been a lot worse.
Last week when we had the game against Brookfield and South Range really showed a really propensity to have some nice balance on that offensive side.
It was Toy's fourth kickoff return of the year, and the first carry of the night is the workhorse for this South Range offense, and that is Peyton Remish. Comes in averaging over 6 yards a carry and is now very close to gaining 700 yards on the season. He's rushed for 6 touchdowns.
Not really a ton of explosive runs, but a lot of really steady ones, as evidenced by his average.
Zacco with a quick throw, a little bit behind the receiver, and had it been directed or deflected directly, Austin Brodigan would have been right there to snag his second interception. The intended receiver that time was Matthias Combs. Actually, it was Alec Ballantyne, I believe.
And that's one of those plays you really want to kind of, the quarterback, step into that throw forward and allow that receiver to kind of catch that ball in their full motion. That time Combs really had to reach back to try and make the good effort.
Zacco completing about 57% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. On the rollout, fires deep upfield, intended for Combs, and stolen away by Stephen Barr, a junior defensive back. That is his second interception of the season, and Crestview will get the ball near its own 40.
Beautiful play by Barr and Austin Brodigan, because both of them basically had the receiver sandwich. Really poor decision for Zacco, being a right-handed thrower, rolling to his left. And it's not a problem that they throw rolling to their opposite, a strong side. It's basically where he threw. The receiver was pretty blanketed and bracketed by the other cornerback, who was had 2 receivers in the same area, and it was underthrown. So kind of a poor decision to start the game.
Crestview with Caleb Hill at quarterback. Devin Turvey and Andrew Jensens are the running backs. And a straight ahead carry for Jensens. He is a 192-pound junior. He's averaging over 6.5 yards a carry and has just gone over 560 yards rushing on the season. Crestview comes in averaging about 22.5 points a game.
You know, and coming off 2 really tough games, their last 2 games, Jim, against John F. Kennedy, defending state champion, and also East Cleveland Shaw, playing up 2 divisions.
And they've also lost to Struthers, so their losses have been tough. Good throw to the outside, completed to Jeff Feo, his 13th catch of the year. Hill completing now about 49% of his throws, 6 touchdowns on the year.
Boy, a beautiful moving block at that time, Jim, from Crestview, rolling again, as we had talked about, being a right-handed thrower, is Caleb Hill throwing across his body, but that time his pocket, his protection really gave him a beautiful rolling pocket and a nice out route by the receiver Fed.
Jensen's trying to get to the edge, puts a shoulder down and drives forward for about a 3-yard pickup. Good hard run.
Boy, and Josh Steer, really strong cornerback, good size at 5'11", 170, an underclassman for Coach Yeagley's South Range Raiders. really coming up at force, got his hands off the receiver, really came up nice and strong with the tackle.
Rest of that Crestview offense, split end is Hunter Woodring. We've seen Jeff Feo as the flanker. Andrew Hardenbrook is the tight end. We'll get the Hogs up front after this. That was a 2-yard pickup. It'll roll out and then a throwback deep down the far side, intended for Devin Turvey, but well overthrown. It will bring up a 3rd and 8 for the Rebels. That the front group, Josh Simmons is the center. The guards are Colton Murray and Dante Polino are the guards, and the tackles are Wyatt Woodring and Dylan Baker. So it's 3rd and 8 coming up for Crestview from the South Range, 46.
Coach Cusick in the previews coming into this season was really high on one of his offensive linemen, Dominic Perry, 6'2", 285, another underclassman for him, looking forward to the future.
But not available tonight. One of those at least 4 starters who are missing the game because of injury. The option, and South Range has it red, and Jensen will wind up losing at least a yard, and it'll bring up 4th down. First punt of the night. It will come off the foot of Danny Moore, who is making his first punt of the season. Both of these teams have had to change their kickers. Chuck Lindsay is the long snapper.
Boy, and unfortunate for Coach Cusick and Crestview, unable to take advantage of the turnover in good field position. That's something you really always want to get something out of.
Pretty good snap, the rugby-style kick. Combs will take it at the 15, well covered. He escapes, however, and he's going to come up the near side. He is out across the 30. He's going to wind up with about a 17-yard return. It was the long snapper, Chuck Lindsay, who got downfield to get his hands on Combs, but couldn't wrap him up. Timeout on the field, 8:50 to go. Scoreless first quarter on the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
Buick and GMC lessees, get to the fall kickoff sale at the Stadium GM Superstore, where you can save thousands right now. Stop in for great lease deals like a new GMC Terrain from only $139 a month with 0 down. A new Buick Encore is now only $149 a month with 0 down. And a new Buick Enclave is now only $169 a month with 0 down. Plus, there is lease pull-ahead available and even 0% financing, which can save you thousands more. All at the store, where 0 down delivers every day. The Stadium GM Superstore in Salem.
Back in action, Peyton Remish gets the handoff, and the Crestview defense does a good job of penetration and holding Remish to a 1-yard gain.
And that's been that quick hitter that they've been utilizing. Haven't seen the end where you bring around the receivers, cut across the face. Sometimes they've also basically used their tight end or an extra slot receiver as a kind of a slanted back tight end position to get an extra blocker up there.
Officials timeout coming up here. It's an equipment issue, which has been quickly resolved by defensive back Jeff Feo. It's complete out to Combs. I think that'll count as a pass. It was pretty much parallel to the line of scrimmage, and it's held for very short yardage, well defended.
And a beautiful, and you touched on it, Jim, right there. Number 14, Andrew Hardenbrook, a wonderful job at that linebacker position, basically getting out there, breaking down, reading that screen pass out to Matthias Combs very quickly and slowing him down, getting his hand on him just enough to bring some extra defenders.
3rd down 8. Brennan Toy out wide left to the bottom of your screen. Bizzacco steps up in the pocket. Oh, airs one out deep over the middle. The wind may have helped knock that down, but that was a very dangerous pass. Toy was the intended receiver, and there were 3 black-shirted Rebels in the same zip code, but that was not a well-thrown ball or a very good choice.
Yeah, it seemed like there's quite a bit of discombobulation back there. And it was strange, though, because South Range actually seemed like they got some decent protection up front. And, you know, another tough throw, throwing against the wind, basically.
Another punt. This is a sidewinder coming up, taking it on the run at the 38, and very, very well defended. Stephen Barr tried to make a return to the near side, a 29-yard punt, and basically nothing on the return. 7:20, well, you know what? We'll keep it right here. Just under 7.5 to play in a scoreless first quarter as Crestview gets its second touch of the football.
Early on, the Crestview Rebels got to be pretty pleased having 2 3-and-outs against a South Range offense that's averaging basically over 34 points a game coming in. And to get 2 3-and-outs here early, maybe a little wind-aided, maybe a little struggle from Manello Bazzacco on some early throws, and that defensive line doing a good job at the point of attack, stymieing basically Peyton Remish here early on.
South Range offense piling up 409 yards per game through the first 5 weeks. Quick throw, and that was almost intercepted. The intended receiver was Hunter Woodring.
Boy, and Trent Harold, number 36, an underclassman for Coach Yeagley, playing that outside linebacker position. I mean, if he would have just turned, because basically Caleb Hill trying to get a quick, basically a 3-yard hitch route, and just kind of decided very early on where the ball was going to be driven, just banged basically Trent Harold in the side of the head.
There was a lot of traffic in that area.
Sure.
2nd and 10, Crestview from its own 38. Devin Turvey goes out wide left to the top of your screen. And we're going to get a flag on a 2-yard gain at the moment. Ball carrier Andrew Janssens.
Wait, if I'm not mistaken, those chop blocks basically, Jim, if I'm not mistaken, you're engaging with a defensive lineman and then someone else kind of comes in and cuts him while he's engaged with another lineman.
Right, below the waist.
Boy, that's a big one.
Woo. All the way back to the 23-yard line, so it will be 2nd and 25.
Which obviously is incredibly dangerous, because if you get into someone's knees while they're engaged with someone else.
Yeah, neither of these teams can afford, you never want anybody to get hurt anyway, but these teams are already thinned out by injury. Janssen's going to get the football right up the gut, slides to his right, and picks up 2. So it'll be 3rd and 23.
And South Range's defense, one of the few defenses that I've seen in really a long time that only have 2 basically down defensive tackles down with their hand down on the ground, and then they basically use their defensive ends in a stand-up position basically outside the tackles. And that time, they actually went into a little bit of press coverage, Jim, bringing their cornerback, especially number 16, Alex Ballantyne, right up in press coverage against the receiver.
Part of the reason is because South Range is not very big. This is a broken play, rollout, throw, contested, incomplete, intended for Devin Turvey with Josh Steer on the coverage.
And if there's something I'm noticing here early on with Caleb Hill, I mean, he throws pretty effortlessly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a very nice motion. I mean, it seems like he's got a live arm. Because it almost looks like he's just tossing it out there, and it's kind of on ropes.
He is a 178-pound senior on a 6'1" frame. Danny Moore back to punt. Does the rugby-style thing. It's a pretty good kick. Combs back to get it at about the 36. Can he get to the edge? Yes and no, but about a 10-yard return, not bad. 6:03 to go, first quarter, no score between Crestview and South Range on the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
Hi, Rob Fellman for Boardman Subaru, where we have one of the largest selections of the safest, most award-winning, and fuel-efficient vehicles on the road today. Subarus are rated the safest vehicles, period, with EyeSight technology that gives you an extra set of eyes on the road. KBB rates Subaru as the best overall brand. Most models get over 35 miles per gallon with automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. The all-new Boardman Subaru, just south of Route 224 on South Avenue.
South Range with its third possession. And a bounce out by Peyton Remish. Crestview had him stopped. Remish is off to the races, and he will score. And no penalty markers.
And just when I get done saying on the last couple of plays that Peyton Remish didn't really have a lot of big, explosive plays, blasts off one from there, some poor tackling from the Rebels in traffic allowed him to bounce to the edge. And got to tell you, really showed some really good speed as he turned to that corner, basically outran Jeff Fedd, who was in pursuit at a pretty decent angle.
Well, that's precisely what Crestview can ill afford. They can't be thinking about the home run ball when they have it on offense, and they can't give it up when they're on defense, and that's what happened there. Anthony DeLucia, who took over the place-kicking duties last week, the number 1 and 2 kickers for South Range, are down with injuries. This is going to be wide right. So that possession took a total of 11 seconds for Peyton Remish to ramble 54 yards to the first score of the ball game.
And with 5:52, South Range still doesn't have a first down.
Well, they get one there. But they have not actually strung anything together, put together a drive, but for that matter, neither has Crestview.
Yeah, South Range defense has been equally to the task with stopping Crestview.
Raiders came in giving up a little under 17 points a game in their 5 victories and a little under 270 yards per game. Both of these teams adjusting this year to independent status. They have future conference affiliations, but they'll have to go through this again next season. And I think, you know, in a way, South Range and Crestview doing the same thing. They're in their in the games they had to pick up, they tried to upgrade their level of competition, and that benefits you in the long run. And I think, you know, we might have 2 5-0 teams or 5-0 and a 4-1 here if Crestview had not had some of its key players hurt. Return of about 9 yards on the kickoff by Hunter Woodring.
Some really good coverage down from the kick team from Alec Ballantyne. Very rangy cornerback, 6'3", 170, a junior. Yeah, and you mentioned the schedules. I mean, obviously Struthers, a big upgrade, who's really had a good team over the last couple of years. East Cleveland Shaw, I mean, that when I looked at the schedules, I was like, Crestview and East Cleveland Shaw? That one kind of threw me a little bit. Yeah, I was like, really?
9-yard return that time on the kickoff. Well, you know, that is the exact philosophy, even though he didn't have to deal with not being in a league. But over at Western Reserve, when Andy Hake took over, he said the first thing we have to do, in addition to getting more players and kind of changing the culture, is toughen up our non-conference schedule to get ready for the conference so that when we do make the playoffs, and it was always when we do, not if we do, we're tested. Good run that time.
Yeah, and he's been actually pretty quiet so far. Their leading rusher, Andrew Jansen's number 26, coming in with a little bit over 550 yards rushing coming into the season.
Got about 8. But he won't get anything this time.
Number 50, Anthony Zapp, playing very strong at the point of attack. He and also Jordan Lowry, and it seems like they do a really nice job of rotating along with Tyler Dolak, another underclassman up front for South Range, rotating defensive linemen. In my opinion, obviously, I just feel South Range probably has a little bit more depth from evidence of them not having to play near as many young men on both offense and defense. Really gives a huge advantage in depth.
6 carries for 25 yards for Janssens. Danny Moore has checked in as the running back, but we'll get a timeout called here with 4:38 to go in the first quarter. One of the players that made me think of it when you mentioned Janssens being their leading rusher. One of the guys missing from the Crestview lineup is Dylan Huff, a junior running back who was their leading rusher when he got hurt, and he is a big missing link on this Crestview football team.
And anytime, and we realize this, Jim, over the last couple of years, and fans of teams at the smaller levels, I mean, a couple injuries can be just devastating. It's really tough to just plug and play basically from 7 through 4 in those divisions, just because there's just not the sheer numbers on your team.
Absolutely. All right, Crestview quickly back out. Stephen Barr going to be out wide left inside. Jeff Phil. And a wing right formation. And Hunter Woodring is the split right. Backfield winds up empty. Hill throws it, and a leaping catch almost made. Good coverage by Jeff Steer on the intended receiver. Jeff Feo got his hands on it, but the ball whistled through, and now it will be 4th and 2 after that good first down run. 4th consecutive incompletion for Caleb Hill.
And that one I'm not going to put on Caleb Hill at all, Jim. I mean, the offensive line, Coach Cusick, they called a wonderful play, had a little bubble screen set up to Janssens to draw the corners back. That's a play that Feo needs to make because Caleb Hill made the throw catchable.
Snap goes high right. The kick goes high and deep back around the 17-yard line. And Matthias Combs tries to work some magic. He is surrounded and finally wrestled down just short of the 25. So a 45-yard punt, a return of 7 or 8. South Range will take over at its own 25.
Boy, some real leg. We're seeing some incredible kicks. All 3 of his punts have really traveled pretty well. And not only that, the Rebel kick coverage, punt coverage, has really done a nice job of staying in their lane and really bottling up a very explosive player in Matthias Combs.
Yeah, the one return they had, South Range, was very well covered, but Combs managed to escape the first guy down. They fake it to Remish, and this time it's Bazzacco running free and missing the tackle. 2 tackles missed? No, the first guy there was Austin Brodigan. Jeff Feo finally made the tackle at the 39-yard line, and a flag is down.
Yeah, and their South Range going to be aided by another 15 yards tacked on to the end of that for a personal foul. Real late hit. I'm not sure it was really malicious, but clearly it had happened where a Crestview Rebel defender kind of slammed down to Bazzacco as he was laying on the ground. So they're going to be aided by another 15, I would imagine.
So South Range, which got the big run on its last possession for a touchdown, gets a big run plus a penalty here. That the touchdown run was 54. This play plus the penalty is 56, and the ball's at the 24-yard line of Crestview.
Strong run from Bazzacco.
Who came in with about 280 yards rushing. Remish with a nice cutback, drives down to the 15-yard line, a pickup of 9.
Beautiful blocks on that right side of that offensive line. One of the few times I've noticed it, South Range ran basically a stretch handoff.
Wind continues to blow very strong, straight across the field from, if you were sitting in the stands with this camera view, it would be at your back. Remish again, waiting for a block, squeaks through a little bit of an opening to about the 13, where it will be 1st and 10.
We're in a beautiful pull block by number 56, Matt Brooks, a senior at 6'1", 250, starting off on that left side, pulling over to the right. Beautiful play, kicking out the defensive end. Crestview basically not really a big blitzing team from what I'm noticing here so far. Pretty bland in their 4-3 alignment.
Ball marked at the 12. First and 10 from there. Remish. Patient. Nope.
Beautiful slant
Beautiful
pass.
ball fake and a delivery to Matthias Combs. That is his 8th touchdown reception of the year.
And Combs does a great job of cutting in front off of the play fake of Bazzacco to Remish, and that's what we're talking about. That's how to lead a receiver properly. They get into that cut on the slant. The receiver gets the inside position on the cornerback. The play fake holds the outside linebacker, so basically he just has to cut in front, and a beautiful driven ball by Anello Bazzacco.
They'll go for 2. Bazzacco, after slipping, will try to get to the cone. Can't do it. Late flag behind the play.
Super coverage that time. Andrew Hardenbrook staying to the outside, keeping Bazzacco out of the end zone.
Will they get a second shot at it? Defensive holding. The play stands. And with 3:01 to go in the first quarter still, South Range leads 12-0 on the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
A 75-yard drive for, oh, you know what? No, I'll take that back. Yep, 75-yard drive. That is right. Couldn't read my own handwriting. It only took 4 plays.
When a lot of it was set up by the play action, the huge run from Anello Bazzacco, aided by the personal foul on the Crestview defense, all hidden yards that you really just, you can't give up those extra yards like that. I mean, you have a powerful South Range offense, and then I love to see the way that Anello Bazzacco really drove that ball into Matthias Combs. So it's been some big plays.
Only took 1 minute and 16 seconds.
Unlike last week where South Range really had a slow start, allowing Brookfield to get out to that early lead against them at home, then came storming back.
Still 3:01 to go here in the first quarter.
When it's critical more than anything to Crestview as they get this ball, hopefully get a big return for their fan base, but just to gain some confidence, got to get some first downs and just take some baby steps here.
Anthony DeLucia ready to kick it away. Squib kick, hits one of the front line guys who fell on it alertly. William Hardenbrook.
And you really hear the Crestview crowd. We're on the home side at Crestview, and the crowd really got, kind of a little bit perturbed because South Range didn't get a personal foul on that play. But it's a different situation, a totally different situation where you have basically that scrum, as Jim likes to call it, where the up man gets hit with the ball on the kickoff. You don't know if that ball is squibbed out. You're making that effort to recover the onside. So it's a different deal.
So Crestview will head out with excellent field position.
As they've had. I mean, for most of this game, they've basically been at this 40, kind of 50-yard line on this side. They just haven't been able to get over to the other side.
Only have 1 first down. Jansen's grabbed in the backfield and unceremoniously dragged farther back. No gain, 2nd and 10.
Boy, and here early on, it's really, we're seeing Kind of a dominance of that South Range front. Really getting upfield with some tackles. Anthony Zapp doing a nice job. That one was led by number 67, Mike Snyder, another underclassman up front at 6', 205 for Coach Eagley and the Raiders. And anytime you can get some of your leading tacklers up front on your defensive front, says a lot.
Hill. Man, he whistled it, but he whistled it too hard. Picked off and returned big time. This is Josh Steer with his first interception of the year, and the good field position goes awry with a big turnover. That for Hill. Actually, I don't have his interception count. He's thrown for 6 touchdowns, 22-yard return, and South Range now has the ball at the Crestview 38.
Boy, that's probably the first time that I've really seen a poor throw tonight. We've seen a couple that were off, but that one from Caleb Hill was really still searching for the first Crestview receiver that was around it. But Steer, who's had a couple nice plays tonight in tackles, comes up with the big INT.
Turnovers even at 1 apiece now. This is the big fullback, if you will, Trent Harold on the carry. Averaging almost 5 yards in somewhat limited duty carrying the football. He picks up almost 4.
When what we really haven't seen a lot is bringing that receiver across the face of Bazzacco and basically on that wide receiver sweep.
This is Remish. Wow, that was well defended right there. That was a good job. Nice wrap up around the waist, spinning him around until help got there at the 35.
Boy, and the young man who really exploded off the ball was number 20, Nick Sherrill, an underclassman for Coach Cusick, 5'7", basically about 160 pounds, showed great explosiveness.
Loss of almost a yard there, so it's a 3rd down and 7 now for South Range. This would be an accomplishment here for Crestview to turn South Range away and make a punt. Won't happen. Remish with blocking and drives down to the 20-yard line.
Just some wide open holes, allowing Remish to get into that 2nd and 3rd level. And we've noticed that, Jim, a lot of the leading tacklers for South Range are in the linebacker area and the secondary with Danny Moore, Dakota Stratton, Stephen Barr. I mean, you're talking, these are your linebackers and secondary people that are your leading tacklers. That's tough.
1st down at the 20.
And those are the stands you need to make on 3rd and long.
Fake to Remish, roll out by Bazzacco. He's got his receiver, and it's an easy touchdown. Ryan Davenport making just his 2nd catch of the year. Boy, beautifully delivered.
Yeah, and what it was set up is off of the play fake and then the roll for Bazzacco after struggling early in this 1st quarter with accuracy troubles, finding his sea legs and really throwing some beautiful catchable balls where the receivers are in full stride. And I love the way that kind of the tight end, Davenport, kind of hid and then did a nice deeper drag across that middle.
Just over 30 seconds to play in a lengthy 1st quarter here at Crestview tonight. And the Raiders will again go for 2. Fake to Remish, throw to the back of the end zone, and a glue-fingered catch. Wow, what a grab, Matthias Combs.
No, Trent Harold.
It was 36, you're right.
Trent Harold, incredible catch. It looked like it was just sailing out of the end zone and just touched his fingertips and brought it down. Had a nice run earlier in that drive on a little bit of fullback over, and then as Jim said, a little glue fingers, stick them on them. Nice.
And again, South Range is going for 2 because of the loss of its top 2 kickers. The last 2 completions for Anello Bazzacco, the South Range quarterback, he Each one has resulted in a touchdown, and that gives him 11 touchdown passes this year. He's thrown a pick tonight, so he's got 3 of those, but that's still a good ratio.
And unlike Crestview earlier in the first quarter, they were unable to take advantage of a misthrown ball from Bazzacco on an interception, not able to turn their turnover into points. South Range with explosive plays and able to take advantage of short field position and the turnover, turn it into a score.
Well, that was another 4-play drive. It only took 1 minute and 30 seconds.
And it's the balance. It's really the balance between Remish and the running back Harold, and then the accuracy turning over here late with Bazzacco.
Another squib kick to the far side, and diving on it over there is Devin Turvey for the Rebels.
Boy, and as this moves forward, we're into week 6, and it's just a shame because this is a team that obviously has some talent in South Range that, I mean, eventually giving up these short fields and making teams only have to go 60 yards as you advance. And let's not kid ourselves, I mean, South Range is going to be in the playoffs, so we can talk into week 11. You're going to run into some teams that are going to take advantage of it in the short field. Will catch up to you, giving all those yards away.
Yeah, they have to find a way. I mean, the kicker that they lost had a long field goal range as well, and just a good, solid kicker, period. And they're going to have to find a solution to that, whether it's, you got to find somebody that can kick an extra point, maybe a short field goal if you need it, and you need to find a way to get the ball downfield on kickoff. It's about a 3-yard pickup there for Andrew Jensen's.
And Jim, even if that means basically having open tryouts with the soccer team again, and you're just trying to recruit someone basically who's a hired gun to kick the ball. I mean, even if it's just for kickoffs, and you can aid that much on defense. Ooh.
That was the end of a long first quarter. It was a good one for the South Range Raiders. After 12 minutes of football at Crestview, in South Range 20, the Rebels nothing. This is the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
Armstrong's Healing Heroes aims to donate 5 dogs to area veterans suffering from PTSD, seizure disorders, and more, in conjunction with Guardian Angels Medical Service Dogs. Here's how to help. Visit your local Armstrong office to make a donation, or go to www.medicalservicedogs.org and choose Armstrong as the designation. You can also mail donations to the address on your screen. For more information, visit us on Facebook. Together, we can unleash the power to heal.
All right, Crestview starts the second quarter in a 2nd and 7 from its own 41 after being outgained 163-28 in the first quarter, and this running play may have lost half a yard. They've got to find somebody that can get the ball to besides Jensen's, because it just makes it a lot easier for the defense at this point.
And they've had a couple of opportunities where Caleb Hill was able to get the ball into the hands of Jeff Theo. They just weren't able to make the catch. And really, now they're going to kind of have to go into this side wind where it's going to become a lot more difficult. Not only that, we'll see how the punting game goes.
Yeah, same wind, just from the opposite direction.
Sure.
Hill rolls, throws into that wind, ball tipped and incomplete. Double coverage. Josh Steer, again, was probably going to be credited with the breakup. Devin Turvey was the intended receiver.
Yeah, they really had it bracketed very nicely, dropped a lot of people back into a zone defense, and it was just a case where Caleb Hill was kind of forced to try and find it and throw it into that little bit of a window to an open receiver, but closed very quickly. Brian Robinson also was in the area.
Danny Moore with that rugby kick. This looks like a rugby kick, just an ugly sidewinder down to the 30.
And that's a key example right there, Jim, of the win, because in the previous punts, and he's had quite the workout on the punting game. A lot of them were in the air, sent Matthias Combs back to try and search for the ball, which allowed also good coverage for the punt coverage team for Crestview.
Just 29 yards on that kick, and especially with that rugby-style kick where you can't do anything but hook the ball, and now it's being hooked directly into the teeth of that wind. Good play fake. Deep throw, McCombs in his lap, touchdown. What a throw.
And Jim, that is just a case of beautiful thrown ball by Bazzacco with the lead. Tremendous quicks on the underneath on that post route from Matthias Combs, and that was evident of the wind, where they were really able to take advantage of that wind behind them. Threw it with a beautiful loft, didn't try and gun it into him. No safety help over top. And again, the play action set up from the run, froze the linebacker, froze the safety, and just allowed that corner to have to run. No chance.
Yeah, and there aren't many guys in the area that are going to catch Matthias Combs from behind.
But you at least have to have some safety help over top. Nothing. I mean, Combs was running 6-7 yards past him.
Another two-point conversion attempt. Bazzacco rifles a bullet into Josh Steer.
Wow.
Yikes. So we are just over a minute into the second quarter, and a 70-yard touchdown strike from Anello Bazzacco to Matthias Combs has made the scoreboard blink again, and it is South Range 28, Crestview nothing, on the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Anello Bazzacco now has completed his last 3 passes for touchdowns. He's 4 of 7 for 104 yards overall.
And I'm probably more impressed in the way that he threw them. Perfect leads.
And again, just another little squib kick, covered easily by Crestview.
And again, I'm going to keep harping on it. I mean, that's setting someone up at the 45-yard line, which means you only have 55 yards to go to get to a score, or if a team has a good kicker, gets them in range pretty quick. Now, after struggling, a little bit early on, their offense has just been non-existent. What, do they have 1 first down going into this? Does Crestview, Jim?
I believe that's correct. Two receivers left, one to the right. Janssens takes a fake on the first down, and a good run by Caleb Hill. He'll take it into South Range territory. Well, all those handoffs to Andrew Janssens paid dividends that time. Caleb Hill down to the 43-yard line.
And I think that's what we're going to really have to see more of, is getting Caleb Hill out on the perimeter, some quarterback draws, allowing him to have run-pass options, some screen passes to Janssens out in the flat.
This time Janssens does get the ball and about a yard.
Anthony Zapp, beautiful play, strafing in between two offensive linemen and just basically stopping for a really short gain. I mean, when you're consistently in long down and distance in second and third, or basically long down and distance on second and third down, makes it really tough.
It's a gain of just over a yard. Call it second down and 9. Ball just inside the 42-yard line. 2 minutes or so into the second quarter. And South Range with a big 4 possession or 4 score lead. Ball carrier that time was Danny Moore. He's carried the ball half a dozen times for only 15 yards this season. And he got a couple to 3 there. Ball just at the 40.
When it's just tough sledding, going to the core of that South Range defense. I mean, I guess I don't get it. I try and...
Well, it looks like you should be able to run against it. Like you say, Mario, they have 2 tackles, really 2 down linemen they'll have, and that's the case here. And you'd think there'd be a lot of openings, but there aren't. Wow, that was just overthrown into the wind. Incomplete.
Some good protection that time from the Crestview offensive line. That one kind of falls a little bit on Caleb Hill, and it seemed like trying to overcompensate for the headwind coming right at him. Really tried to get some arm strength into it and actually accomplished it, just overthrew the receiver who was basically open on a deeper hook route.
So another punt coming up for Danny Moore,
who's been one of the busiest people of the evening.
Ooh. Wow, great job to corral that snap, knocking it down with one hand, tipping it to himself, and managing to get it away and out of bounds on the far side.
Boy, not only that, you talk about knocking it down. That ball got from Danny Moore, the punter, got up in the air, and that wind knocked it down pretty quick, unlike some punts that he had in the first quarter with the wind behind him.
Only a 21-yard punt, and South Range will take over at its own 13-yard line.
And I've been incredibly impressed after getting stymied on their initial 2 drives on 3 and outs with this South Range offense, of the balance they've shown and a real propensity here to opening it up with the skill set of Brzaka.
Quick handoff. And this is Harold coming wide with a lot of room. Straight up the hash, out across the 40 to the 45-yard line. Trent Harold.
An incredible block that time by number 56, Matt Brooks, who had got out, sealed off that defensive end, really did a nice job of getting his body entirely cocked away to keep him away. And Harold showing a little jets. Got him out of bad field position.
32 yards on that gallop. 5'8", 190. That's almost as much as he had. I take that back. I was looking at the wrong number. Harold gets it again, and South Range looking for, Crestview rather, looking for him and knocking him down for a 1-yard loss.
Dante Polino, underclassman for Coach Cusick. A lot of underclass defensive linemen for Coach Cusick in the South Range Rebels coming back for next year. Good job of getting upfield penetration. Tackle for loss. Boy, they've just got Peyton. They've got Matthias Combs on an island on the end.
Yep, 1-on-1, and the guy who has the responsibility is his like number, Austin Brodigan. Timeout called, 8:01 to go in the first half. South Range in charge, 28-0 on the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
Hi, Rob Fellman for Boardman Subaru, where we have one of the largest selections of the safest, most award-winning, and fuel-efficient vehicles on the road today. Subarus are rated the safest vehicles, period, with EyeSight technology that gives you an extra set of eyes on the road. KBB rates Subaru as the best overall brand. Most models get over 35 miles per gallon with automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. The all-new Boardman Subaru, just south of Route 224 on South Avenue.
Find new road to get to the fall kickoff sale at the Stadium GM Superstore, where you can save thousands right now. Stop in for great lease deals like a new Chevy Malibu from only $179 a month with 0 down. A new Silverado is now only $189 a month with 0 down. And a new Chevy Traverse is now only $199 a month with 0 down. You can even buy a new Cruze for only $15.9. Plus, there is lease pull-ahead available, all at the store where 0 down delivers every day. The Stadium GM Superstore in Salem.
Come out of the timeout. South Range is in a 2nd and 12 from its own 43-yard line, but that's 30 yards upfield from where they took possession.
Boy, that looked like it was setting up to be another post route.
Brzaka was really getting ready to air it out. You can see him cocking deep. False start, however, against the Raiders, and that will bring up 2nd and 17.
And it just seems like such a mismatch, and to take a wide side of the field. But if you're not going to roll a linebacker over there, roll the safety over towards that wide side of the field, I mean, I'm going to abuse that until you roll someone over there and keep a higher safety over top of him. And even if that cornerback's playing off, I'm just going to keep throwing hitch routes and let him work in space.
First penalty on South Range. Quick release and just slightly overthrown heading down the far side. Brennan Toy, the intended receiver. Coverage a step behind by Hunter Woodring.
And Woodring, the sophomore, actually did a pretty nice job of running with Toy, and then at the last moment kind of turning his head back. I thought that was pretty decent coverage. A little bit more loft on the ball, but Pizzacco might have hit it. But I'm gonna ride that Combs train until they put a safety up over top or force that cornerback to basically come up.
Yeah, they got man coverage on the slot man as well. This is Peyton Remish back in the ball game, pounding up across the 45 to the 46. Almost the 47, but well short of the first down.
Basically one of the first stops that Crestview's had in a long, long time. Getting a stand, allowing that offense to get back out there, and they've really got to get something going offensively, a screen pass. And the things that you've been doing are obviously not working, so I mean, you've got to make some adjustments in game to change some things that you're doing. Throw a screen pass out to a wide receiver.
Well, there's the effect of the wind. That's the post fair catch call right there by Stephen Barr. Crestview will get the ball at its own 15-yard line. But again, the wind, apparently when you get it up in that wind, that winds up being a 43-yard kick with no return.
Quite evident.
Yeah, it has. Well, I guess for a right-footed kicker, that makes total sense. For a left-footed kicker, kicking that direction, it'd be just the opposite, just because of the way the ball's spinning.
Wow, that got pretty deep.
How do you mean that?
I mean,
Crestview, speaking of deep in its own territory and very little on first down. Again, it was Andrew Jensen.
Number 63, Tyler Dolak, in that area. One of the biggest players on the South Range team at 6'3", 280. Another underclassman for Coach Yeagley.
How would you like to have a team that is slowed a little bit by some key injuries? You're still 5-0, and if things don't take a big turn tonight, 6-0, and you're getting a ton of playing time from talented underclassmen. Wow.
I mean, he's got a program over there.
Flag flies. Well, and of course, if you did not catch our last telecast here on Armstrong, you missed seeing the new facility at South Range. They were still playing at the stadium, I think a terrific venue, just great small town football venue for 2 seasons after moving into the new school down on Route 46, and now into the new stadium, which is good for being used, but they have only completed 2 of 4 phases of the final construction. So it's a great venue. Jensen's with his best burst. That was some of the best up front blocking in the middle we've seen tonight from Crestview.
Yeah, opened up over on that left side behind center Josh Simmons. Nice job opening up for Jensen. Maybe that'll be the spell that'll allow them to kind of break this and get a first down. You know, no slouch in their own. I mean, this is a beautiful little facility. This is my first opportunity in all the years of coming down to Crestview and taking a peek at their facility. Very nice. Obviously, their schools are pretty new.
3rd down 3, and fighting hard to get the necessary yardage. And Jensen
I think that's going to need a measure.
Forward. That's very close, but if the stick is accurate on the far side, it's a first down. They just had to get to the yard line and did.
Yeah, and that's a big step. I mean, a journey of a mile begins with that first step. So getting that first down here in this quarter.
Which has 5 minutes and 15 seconds to play.
And unlike a lot of teams in the Valley now, do not run up-tempo. Kind of get into their huddle and just break conventionally as people did 15 years ago.
Oh man. Crestview's team's speed made that play a disaster from the get-go.
You talk about team speed. How would you like a guy 6'3", 280 at the high school level? Tyler Dolak. I mean, that was impressive. Getting his hands off the tackle, then getting lateral, chasing down at a beautiful angle. I mean, that was pretty impressive.
2nd and 12. This is actually the first, I've been here many times, but this is the first time I've actually been involved in a broadcast from Crestview. Another good throw by Caleb Hill, snuck it past a defender and going down to make the catch, Jeff Field.
Yeah, that one he was able to catch, and I love, because Caleb Hill basically threw that ball in the only place that it really could. There was actually pretty decent coverage by number 16, Alec Ballantyne, on the short side over there on the cornerback for South Range, but the wide receiver Field was able to get down on his knees and catch that ball and put him in a very third and manageable again.
Yep, this is 3rd and short. He gained 11, needed 12. Blitz coming. Janssens gets it, head down behind left guard and pounds across the 35 to the 36 and a first down.
Now, I don't think that young man, Andrew Janssens, is going to meet his average on the season of yards per carry. Yeah, I was a little slow. Of 6.6, but I mean, he's had some hard-earned yards, and Crestview with their 2nd first down in a row.
One of the starters on the offensive line, and actually the guy they ran behind that time, I think, is freshman Colton Murray, 231-pound freshman. Hill, blitz coming, and he had to unload maybe a fraction of a second early as Peyton Remish put on the pressure, and that ball almost got into the hands of Jeff Fio anyway.
Late blitz from Peyton Remish. Basically went in untouched, allowed the blocking pattern to set up on that rolling pocket. A little bit low that time from Caleb Hill, but Fio had, and we've seen it from Fio a couple of times, running some decent routes, getting into some space, but unable twice to make a catch, and made one really difficult one. But that's another one, hit you in the hands. You got to catch it and help your offense.
Crestview finally gets its alignment correct. Janssens again, and manages to bounce free. Has some blocking in front, just refusing to go down and fighting out to the 46-yard line, which should be good enough for a first down.
Boy, and that one was a real test of wills. That young man, Andrew Janssens, came up into the hole, had a beautiful hole opened up by his offensive line. And number 12, Isaac Allegretto, a sophomore, 6'1", 170, basically a meeting of two bulls and some great leg strength from the youngster, Andrew Janssens, to drive through for an extra 5, and another third short and manageable.
Now this is close enough. They're going to bring the chains in from the far side. Oh, no, they're not. It's going to be 3rd and short. They're going to put 5 seconds on the clock.
I mean, the thing is, what have they gone so far, about 30 yards?
They have gone, 31 yards. They are going to bring the chains in.
I mean, this is taking forever to go 30 yards.
Well, you know what, though? I mean, at the very least, the South Range offense isn't on the field.
Sure. No, I mean, I like the way you look at things in a positive light. You did good there.
Thank you.
And me being the Grim Reaper all the time, like, they went 30 yards, they got 3 first downs.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But it's taken a while.
I know, but the time factor here is that, you know, it's 4 minutes that South Range hasn't had the football, although, to its credit, the Crestview defense stood up and forced a punt last time out. So,
and the thing is, with Crestview winning the toss, electing to defer to the second half, I mean, yes, you're down 28-0, 2:52 here. You get a score. You get the second half kick. Maybe you get a score. Now the margin's more manageable. Now all of a sudden we have a situation.
Yeah, and you're not in danger of, if you want to talk about the Grim Reaper, a score creating a continuous clock.
Showing blitz.
Janssens gets it, finds his way around the edge to the opening and crosses midfield to the South Range 49.
When that inside offensive line, South Range blitzing right up that middle, held strong at the point of attack and allowed just enough time for Janssens to hit up in the middle, bounce to that edge and get that first down.
Spotted just across the 50-yard line, about a 5-yard pickup. Janssens now has carried the ball 18 times, but for only 50 yards. That's well less than half his average per carry. There's the fake to Janssens. Hill on the rollout, steps up, throws, got his man. That's his favorite target, Theo, who breaks a tackle and then steps out of bounds inside the 40-yard line.
Yep. Beautiful long throw across. I mean, that's a deep hash throw basically to the sideline. Really had to drive, get a lot of arm strength in it from a headwind coming right at him. And Theo, I mean, it's been feast or famine.
Pickup of about 12 to the 38-yard line of South Range, and still 2 minutes to go. Janssens this time, he breaks it out again. It looked like he was stopped at the line of scrimmage, bounced and kept going down to the 36 or so. Now they're going to mark it inside. I was looking at the line judge on this side.
I mean, Andrew Janssens had a sweet stiff arm as he was coming around that corner. And really, he is a physical runner in space.
Wound up picking up about 4 yards. Hill throws incomplete, trying to dive back to get to the football was Stephen Barr.
Just couldn't quite, did Caleb Hill get his feet set enough to really drive that ball coming across his body, being a right-hander, throwing to the left on a nice out pattern, but just wasn't able to set the feet enough to get some drive.
And again, throwing it into a stiff wind.
Yeah, a lot of combinations going there. But the good thing is, at 1:31, that incomplete pass was able to stop the clock, and you're at 3rd and 6 basically here.
Caleb Hill has completed 3 passes tonight, and they've all wound up in the arms of Jeff Theo. 3rd and a long 6 coming up. Good job picking up the rush. Deep throw. Talk about pick. It is picked off. And making the interception for South Range is Isaac Allegretto. That's his 2nd pick of the year.
Perfect break, did Allegretto in his back pedal and then saw the ball on trying to basically, again, we talk about it. It's a really difficult throw, throwing across your body downfield to an out. I mean, that's an incredibly hard throw, let alone against a headwind coming right at you. But a really nice play, as Jim mentioned, by Allegretto to drive on the ball and catch it with his hands.
Their Crestview turnover, blunting what was a promising drive emotionally, if not in terms of affecting the scoreboard. Defense caught moving a little bit. And that's going to wind up being about a 5-yard pickup.
We'll see if Coach
Ben Rivera was the ball carrier, a junior running back. They list him at 5'6", 200 pounds. And according to what I have, that was his first carry of the year.
I was curious how South Range was going to play that with 2 timeouts left, and there was about 1:15 left, so it appears they're going to slow play this.
This is Harold. Boy, that's a nice tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, absolutely. Dakota Stratton, one of their leading tacklers, coming into the game with 45 tackles on the season, 7 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. So a real stalwart on that defensive side for Coach Cusick and Crestview.
Yep, add the TFL there.
That's tackle for loss.
Yep. It's like yak, yards after catch.
Sure.
Yeah. Third and 6. Down to 15 seconds to play before halftime on homecoming night at Crestview. Bizzacco on the quarterback draw. Works his way to the outside, steps through a tackler, gets to the 40, runs through a tackle there, and then out of bounds as time expires. Running out, and we're going to get a late hit on Crestview, and that's a defensive penalty.
And
so
what does that mean?
Cannot end on a defensive penalty.
Exactly, Jim.
So instead of getting out of here without any damage, even after the long run, now we got to play one more. Crestview does.
Well, not only
now
that,
they're going to talk it over, I guess. It was clearly a dead ball foul at that point.
and even before the foul, the infraction that had happened on defense with the late tackle and the personal foul, I actually thought he had gotten out of bounds with about 1 second left. I mean, that'll make it a moot point at this point because they're going to get one more crack at the ball with the wind behind him. Obviously, Anello Bizzacco has shown the ability to stretch the ball. So we'll see if they take a shot here down the end zone. I imagine they would.
Well, they marked the ball out of bounds at the 34. So that's a 42-yard run.
Wait.
There, don't know if you heard that well or not, but it was a dead ball foul. Therefore,
but it's against
and the time had run out, so the half was officially over. Then the penalty, so the penalty will be marked off prior to the second half kickoff. So South Range or Crestview will be getting the ball and may get pretty good field position because South Range will be kicking from it's like its own 25-yard line to start the half. And since the half was officially over, the rule about a half not ending on a defensive foul is not relevant. First half is over. A long one indeed, especially if you're wearing the black and yellow tonight. Did not go well for the Rebels. At intermission, it's South Range 28, Crestview nothing. This is the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
Breaking Bread is Armstrong's ongoing initiative to help feed the hungry in our community. To date, food and funds have been distributed to over 20 food banks. These organizations need our support throughout the year. Donations can be made at your local Armstrong office. Also, look for special Breaking Bread events in your area. All efforts benefit area food banks and soup kitchens. For more information, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/ArmstrongOneWire.
Welcome back to Crestview as we count down to the second half kickoff with the home team Crestview Rebels staring up at a 28-0 intermission deficit. South Range in the first half gained 308 total yards to 99 for Crestview. 204 of those yards came on the ground in 15 rushes. 84 of the yards on 7 carries for Peyton Remish to lead the way. For Crestview, 66 yards on 20 carries, 19 of those carries by Andrew Janssens for 54 yards. Through the air, Anello Bizzacco is 4 of 8 for 104 yards, 3 touchdowns, and had 1 early interception for South Range. Crestview's Caleb Hill has hit 3 of 12 for 33 yards and has had 2 passes picked off. First downs, just 6 in the first half for Crestview. South Range had 10. Penalties have not really been a huge factor in the ball game. The second half will start with one, a dead ball foul on South Range at the end of the first half will set them back an additional 15 yards on their kickoff and give Crestview the opportunity to start the second half with the football in pretty good field position. Crestview won the opening toss and deferred, so it does get the opportunity to receive the football to start the second half, and they will fan out now as we prepare. Certainly, Mario, not the kind of first half that Crestview wanted, made some critical mistakes, and obviously were beaten on some opportunities by a really good South Range team, but showed some signs of promise near the end of the half, moving the football and coming up with a stop before that.
Well, absolutely. Andrew Jansen's really started to play well. I think had a little bit of a better vision of finding the holes. His offensive line really did a nice job of sealing off, especially late in that second quarter where they pieced together 3 first downs in a row, right up until the interception. But they're playing a really good team. I mean, this South Range team is pretty good.
And if they can get a couple more of their people healthy, there's at least one, maybe a couple that they won't get back, but if they can get a couple more of their critical performers healthy, as you mentioned, it's pretty much a given they're going to be in week 11, but that will help dictate maybe how far beyond that they can go.
Looking back a little bit at Crestview, last week getting shut out by East Cleveland Shaw, now getting shut out in the first half, not knowing how the JFK game played out, they're now going on 6 quarters not scoring. So it's a struggle offensively, and granted, playing 2 pretty decent teams, one really good team and a decent team in East Cleveland Shaw.
And again, without at least 4 starters tonight. There's the kickoff. It'll be taken at the 35, so that's a good start. This is Moore, and he fights his way out beyond the 45 before being pushed back.
Boy, that's a big step for South Range in itself, with getting a kickoff up into the air where, obviously you're going to get some extra yards. They were set back by the penalty, but at least it was a positive step for their kick team.
So Crestview will start from its own 46-yard line. So if you subtract the penalty from that, Crestview still would have had a decent return and would have been like at the 31-yard line. Caleb Hill is the quarterback. Andrew Janssens is the running back and gets it on first down and crashes into traffic to pick up a couple of tough yards. Devin Turvey is a halfback. Andrew Hardenbrook is the tight end. Jeff Theo, the only guy to catch a pass, caught 3 of them in the first half for Crestview, is the flanker. Danny Moore will also appear at a running back occasionally. 2nd and 8. Look over the middle, look near side, and a great play on the football that time by Alec Ballantyne. Got there right at the last instant.
Boy, Jim, that's one of those plays that Ballantyne just made. In my opinion, Caleb Hill threw a beautiful ball. The route was literally what you'd want from Jeff Theo, his favorite receiver in that first half, with a lot of targets. But the break of getting in his back pedal and then getting his right hand, right front, tip that ball down without making contact with Theo, outstanding effort by Ballantyne.
3rd down 9. Hill, good protection, way overthrown, didn't have a prayer. That ball carried a little bit because of the wind, but he's got a great arm. So they get the outstanding field position with the help of the penalty to start the second half, gain a yard, and go 3 and out.
But as I touched on a little bit in the first half, it really appears that Caleb Hill has a live arm and basically throws pretty effortlessly, driving balls, distance. It's the accuracy. It's been a little bit of a struggle. Credit to the South Range defense that time because, again, Anello Bazzacco played that the way a free safety is really supposed to. They're supposed to be that last line of defense. So he was helping out his cornerback and had over-the-top help. Even if the ball would have been in range, he had over-the-top help.
Danny Moore with the rugby-style kick. Wicked bounce, gets away from Matthias Combs, scoops it back up around the 10, circles his wagons, bumps into a couple of blockers, and he's still on the move. That's quite a move, quite a return by Matthias McCombs. He was getting quite a chase from behind that time by William Hardenbrook and decided just to get out of bounds on his own. The punt, 41 yards.
And there's just times that the kid's just faster than you. And that's a picture-perfect example of a fearless young man, one of the kids that they just want to kick return. They just want to get the ball, and they want to do it. And his skill set of speed, when someone has the angle and you pull away, you're fast.
22-yard return. South Range set up at its own 34-yard line. Quick throw on the outside, complete, breaking a tackle, and getting out to the 39-yard line is Josh Steer,
who had basically had a nice catch in the first half, had an interception, played well on defense at his cornerback position. And again, that's showing another little facet of this South Range offense. We didn't see a screen pass simple to a wide receiver, maybe one time to Combs, and he was the inside slot. So I love the versatility that South Range is showing.
Alabazako, the quarterback, to Peyton Remish, the running back. In that case, it was patient Remish as he kept looking for a place where his blockers were opening a seam. Not much there, and he falls forward for a gain of 2, and it will bring up 3rd down and 3.
Boy, and continuing the first half that he had a beautiful block that time by center Matt Brooks.
He's flanked at guard by Christian Most, and a quick out to Matthias Combs, splits 2 tacklers and almost breaks a tackle at midfield before going down, but it's a 1st down.
And that's what we talk about. That's just a skill set that Matthias Combs, he was bracketed by the outside linebacker in the corner who came up, and just one little sliver cuts between 2 guys, turns it into positive yards. And I love, again, the versatility. Going down in the first half, now you open up with 2 screen passes to opposite sides of the field.
This is Remish, head down, banging inside the 45 to the 44, a pickup of 4 yards.
Boy, and Chucky Lindsay, another underclassman for Coach Cusick, did everything you'd want. Got into the hole, read the play, broke down, got low on the tackle, and Remish still pushed him forward for 3 yards. That's a nice play.
Matthias Combs split out near the far sideline. And this will be Remish. Nice hole. Breaks a tackle at the 30, dragged down from behind near the 20.
Boy, and that's one of the few times we've seen just some rough tackling for the Rebels, where basically arm tackling. And, Remish, he showed the speed. I didn't really think he had that kind of burst that he had showed on the first score of the game. But his low center of gravity and his strength meeting a pile, pretty tough.
23-yard pickup, 1st down at the 21. He showed pretty good wheels on that 54-yard run in the first half. Quick throw off the hands of the intended receiver, Brennan Toy, incomplete.
Ran that play a couple of times to Matthias Combs in the first half, one for a touchdown inside about the 10-yard line. That's a play that, and again, Bazaka, who struggled early in the first quarter with accuracy, has really shown great accuracy in the second and third quarter there. That's a play that Toy needs to make, that catch.
Center is Levi Taylor, guards Christian Most and Matt Brooks, Jordan Lowry and Tyler Dolak the tackles. Movement up front. Let's see who initiated it.
Ooh, that's surprising. It looks like, they're calling South Range on it.
Yeah, that'll make it 2nd and 15 if that's the call that sticks.
Now they're going to have a little discussion about it.
.8:21 to go, 3rd quarter. Things have calmed down a little bit in terms of movement of the football here in the 3rd quarter. Crestview trying to get a stand here, keep South Range off the board and keep the clock from going to a continuous run. No flag.
And I think what they were looking at and discussing, I think it was almost from the stands that it seemed like the sound, the hut sound, was causing the motion from the stands.
Well, now that's
why they waved it off?
I don't know. if it's the home fans, you theoretically could ask for an announcement, and the officials can at some point throw a flag for unsportsmanlike conduct on the home team, and it could be somebody in the stands creating the problem. So just like they'll issue a bench warning if the guys get too close to the sidelines, the officials are within the rules to offer another kind of warning that could result in a penalty. And the discussion continues.
And through all that, it's like nothing happened.
So it is 2nd and 10 for South Range at the Crestview 21-yard line. Nola Buzzacco fakes it to Remish. Now has to scramble to his right and is going to get out of bounds and live to play another day.
Turned it into something positive. Really good coverage in that 2nd and 3rd level by the Rebel secondary. Had a lot of the receivers bracketed, and a good decision by Buzzacco. And I liked how he had the ball up, looking downfield, keeping that threat that he might throw it, and then showing a good athlete, turned on some wheels and turned it into something positive.
Up 3, 3rd and 7 from the 18. Fake to Remish. That's a lateral, caught, and right back to where they started out. Josh Steer on the catch. And there'll be no gain there. It'll be 4th down.
Boy, and that was a nice open field tackle by Nick Sherrill. Really got down, broke down, didn't allow Steer to kind of put on any type of moves, and then got some extra defenders by the Rebels. 3rd time they've run that wide receiver screen here in this quarter.
Well, they're going for it on 4th and 7, and this isn't a pylon kind of thing, but when you don't have your kicker, there's no point in trying a field goal.
I wonder if they're going to try and change the cadence here, get them to jump. Nope.
Well, then it'd still leave them short. Oh, wide open Steer down the near sideline. Pump and go. 4th touchdown pass of the night for Anello Buzzacco, which gives him 13 on the season. And now, unless Crestview scores, the rest of the second half will be played under a continuous clock.
And I know I keep harping on it, Jim, the accuracy. That slight twitch made the cornerback bite for Crestview, and Steer did a good job of selling it, because part of that is the wide receiver having to sell that pump and go, and just that little shoulder fake and then the accuracy to just throw it enough loft so Steer could get that catch in the end zone.
Well, they're going to give DeLucia another chance to kick an extra point. Anthony DeLucia. Woo! Shows some leg on this one, but he missed it anyway. Looked okay, but the wind must have made it drift right. And so with 7:24 to play in the 3rd quarter, it's now South Range 34, Crestview nothing. This is the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
Buick and GMC lessees, get to the fall kickoff sale at the Stadium GM Superstore, where you can save thousands right now. Stop in for great lease deals like a new GMC Terrain from only $139 a month with 0 down. A new Buick Encore is now only $149 a month with 0 down. And a new Buick Enclave is now only $169 a month with 0 down. Plus, there is lease pull-ahead available and even 0% financing, which can save you thousands more. All at the store, where 0 down delivers every day. The Stadium GM Superstore in Salem.
Hi, Rob Fellman for Boardman Subaru, where we have one of the largest selections of the safest, most award-winning, and fuel-efficient vehicles on the road today. Subarus are rated the safest vehicles, period, with EyeSight technology that gives you an extra set of eyes on the road. KBB rates Subaru as the best overall brand. Most models get over 35 miles per gallon with automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. The all-new Boardman Subaru, just south of Route 224 on South Avenue.
Well, by earlier standards in the ballgame, that was a fairly leisurely scoring drive by South Range. It took 5 minutes and 32 seconds to cover 66 yards in 9 plays. A 4th and 7 pass from Anello Buzzacco to Josh Steer from 18 yards out produced the score. And the clock is running and will continue to run Kickoff taken at the 20, and a nice return right up the middle after a quick change of direction at the beginning of the return by Stephen Barr. 22-yard return.
Boy, and people could really see how the play was set up on those screen passes. The mental play of the cornerback, feeling that you're going to just run that screen again, you jump the route, and that little pump and go really sets it up.
So Crestview, again, starting with good field position here at its own 42-yard line after the nice return by Barr. Ball signaled ready for play, and the clock resumes. Again, it will not stop even on incompleted passes. This is Danny Moore on the carry. Refused to quit churning. Nope, Jansen wound up with it. Looked like 25 for just a moment, but Jansen winds up his second effort. The play was not blown dead, and so his second effort results in a 7-yard loss.
Boy, and the better part of that defensive front has just been, for the most part, except for a little period late in that second quarter, the defensive front for South Range has been pretty dominant, led by Anthony Zapp, Jordan Lowry, and the aforementioned Tyler Dolak, the biggest of the bunch.
It is now Danny Moore that is in the backfield with Caleb Hill. 2 wideouts to each side. Hill drops the snap, picks it up, surveys the field, escapes jeopardy, throws it up the far side, and if that's caught, that is a way good catch, but it is out of bounds.
And I think it was Hunter Woodridge is the young man that did end up coming up with the catch. Just his momentum brought him out of bounds.
Yeah, and you could, I suppose, if you're Crestview, say, wasn't it the momentum of the tacklers that drove him out of bounds? But they're going to call that out of the official right there signaled it immediately, waving his 2 hands toward the sideline. So it is incomplete, and it is 3rd and 17.
And initially, I mean, it was a nice play for Caleb Hill to try to turn that into something after missing the snap a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. He was lucky to get anything. 3 receivers right. Hill looks left all the way, rolls out, throws up the sideline, and another catch out of bounds.
Boy, in this one, this is going to be on Crestview because I believe you're going to get basically a chop block, I think, on one of the Crestview offensive linemen.
Well, I imagine what will happen here. It's 4th and long, so South Range is most likely to decline it.
And that's the thing, when you're able to get pressure up front with just a 3-man rush. Davenport's in there now.
The penalty has been declined.
Jacob Gearing also causing a little bit of pressure. And then you could drop the other 8 into coverage in a zone with some deep safeties. Tough to throw against that.
Jacob Gearing, you mentioned him. He is a freshman who is on the depth chart on both sides of the ball, and he is one of the kids that Coach Dan Yeagley really loves his potential. Only a freshman and thinks he has a bright future ahead of him. He's also a baseball pitcher, and they're hoping they can keep him interested in football enough to keep him playing. Danny Moore with another one of those rugby kicks, a sharp line drive taken confidently at the 21 by Matthias Combs. Keeps fighting, gets out to around the 28. Clock runs with 3:55 to go in the 3rd quarter. 34-0 South Range on the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Danny Moore's 6th punt of the night was good for 44 yards. Manella Pizzacco hands it off. This time it is Trent Harold on the carry, and he's chopped down quickly after a gain of a yard.
Harold coming into the game tonight with 17 rushes for 83 yards. Been a real potent facet of the offense tonight.
He had a big run early. He now has 42 yards rushing on 6 carries tonight, so he's up around 125 yards for his season. And about 5 yards a carry. Wing right formation. This is Harold again across the 30 out to about the 33-yard line.
Boy, a picture-perfect tackle that time by Andrew Hardenbrook, senior for Coach Cusick. Broke down great, wrapping up the bottom half with a pretty stout Trent Harold.
3rd and 4, and again, we are on a continuous clock here now in the 3rd quarter after the South Range score on its last possession. Stretched the margin to more than 30 points. 2 receivers right, 1 to the left. Harold on the fake, and Bozzacco fights and spins his way up near the marker. Looks like they've marked it far enough up that that will be a first down.
Boy, and just another excellent facet of Anello Bozzacco's game is his ability to play fake, continue through, hide the ball. I mean, he's done it just over the last 2 games that we've had South Range here for Armstrong. He's fooled my eyes at least 3 or 4 times that I could recollect with his ball faking ability.
4 carries for 82 yards tonight, and that one did get the first down. 5-yard carry when they needed 4. Trent Harold, oh man, he started out, looked like he had all kinds of room, and Dakota Stratton, the 200-pound senior, stepped up and stopped him cold in his tracks at the 40.
Now that was a beautiful tackle, getting low, driving into the ball carrier, stopping him. Not a lot of blitzing from Crestview. They've really kind of kept it pretty manila, staying in their 4-3 defense, rolled their safety down in the linebacker zone.
Harold trying to find the edge again, and he is tripped up as he crosses the 40, and that time it was Andrew Hardenbrook grabbing him around the right leg and dragging him down.
But definitely got some athletes, does Crestview.
Well spotted at the 42. It'll be 3rd and 6 from there. Yeah, again, their problem right now is they're missing a couple of their key talents, and their depth is
tested.
Yeah, severely. They have a very small sophomore class, but a good freshman class coming up from behind to improve their overall depth. Oh, ball is loose, scooped up at the 42-yard line and crashed to the turf for Crestview is James Fitzgerald. The ball carrier, I believe, was Anthony DeLucia. He coughed it up.
Getting his first opportunity to run the ball. Bozzacco on the back end to kind of finish that off to save the score from going in on the defensive side for Crestview. Get a real break there, causing a turnover. They were unable to turn their turnover that they got in the first quarter into any type of points.
Well, at the 31-yard line of South Range, 2nd turnover for the Raiders tonight. Caleb Hill fakes to Janssens and takes off on the left side down to the 25-yard line. That was a pretty good fake.
And they've had a little bit of success with getting Caleb Hill off that play fake.
That'll be the final play of the 3rd quarter. The continuous clock comes to a stop, and with 12 minutes of playing time remaining, it is South Range 34, Crestview nothing. You're watching the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
Still trying to decide between EXP and satellite? Let's take a look at the facts. Only EXP from Armstrong offers award-winning local customer support and free service calls with no contracts and no early termination fees. EXP also includes Zoom Internet, the area's fastest, plus an intuitive user interface powered by TiVo for the ultimate TV experience. As you can see, when it comes to EXP versus satellite, there's just no comparison. EXP from Armstrong, this changes everything.
On a breezy and brisk, it feels like football Friday night. We get ready for the fourth quarter. Crestview in a 2nd down and 4 from the 25-yard line of South Range. Almost missed the handoff there. In fact, Hill pulled the ball back, and it cost him.
Peyton Remish from a linebacker position, really staying in a nice position, reading that ball the entire way, not falling for the fake to Andrew Jensen's inside.
Well, they call that somehow a no gain.
Critical 3rd down.
So it is 3rd down and 4. Remish offensively tonight has gained 115 yards on 10 carries and scored a touchdown on about half the yardage on that touchdown run.
Boy, and Coach Yeagley looks like he's calling him out on this, on the position of the ball, and you caught it early,
yeah.
Jim. The positioning of where the ball got spotted.
I know where Hill wound up probably wasn't the place to put it, but he never got, I don't think he ever got close to the line of scrimmage once, unless they're saying that that was the point of the handoff, and then he was hit immediately and driven back so that his forward progress was in fact the line of scrimmage. So it's 3rd and 4 for Crestview. Fake handoff. Hill will roll to the right. Can he get to the stick? Oh, a little short. Assuming the stick fell perpendicular to the spot that Hill needed to reach. If he did not get there, it's going to be 4th and short.
Probably one of their most successful plays is putting their quarterback Caleb Hill out on the perimeter in a run-pass option. Shows good wheels. I mean, that's a fast young man at that quarterback position.
And it's going to be 4th down and about 2. He didn't get as close as I thought he was going to.
South Range playing a pretty manila on the defensive side.
4th and 2. Jansen's, nope, yep, head down, bangs inside the 20.
Yeah, that young man, when he gets up ahead of steam and gets any type of crack in there, he is a load. Boy, and he's coming, got a little hobble in his giddy up, and they're bringing in his backup, Danny Moore.
Jansen's has put in a good night's work.
A tough night's work, Jim.
You're not kidding.
I mean, he is taking some shots. He's delivered probably just as many as he's taken.
22 carries, 52 yards. He's earned every one of them, too. But again, you've got a weapon like that, and then you've got another guy that's just as good and throw was incomplete, in Dylan Huff, who was their leading rusher when he got hurt. So now you've got that double-headed monster in the backfield. Sure. And that makes Hill a better player, and everybody else too, for that matter. 2nd and 10.
But at the end of the day, it's all about the balance, and unless you're just dominant skill-wise and you just have more talent and you can just dominate the line of scrimmage, which is just not the case. I mean, South Range has the depth, so you're going to need the balance.
Crestview has 6 net yards of offense in the 2nd half. Hill overthrown. Good thing, double coverage there and help coming up from behind. And again, the clock continues to run here because the margin between these teams is greater than 30 points. Just 3 of 17 throwing now for Caleb Hill, despite an impressive arm.
And it's a case where a lot of these routes that I'm following the wide receivers down the field, it really seems like at this point they're kind of rolling off a couple of the routes instead of really getting into nice crisp breaks and getting to the out or getting to the inside curl or slanting to the post. However they're running them, they're kind of rolling them off.
3 receivers to the wide side, bottom of your screen,
Blitz
one
showing.
up top. Jansen's runs into that blitz. There was a hole there briefly, but it closed quickly. That was actually Moore, not Jansen's, Danny Moore.
Boy, and Trent Harold was showing a blitz off the end, and it's a case where they kind of left him alone, and he basically over-blitzed the play, barely getting one hand on Jansen's as he kind of ran by him.
So it's 4th and 9 this time. And We're already down to the 7:40 mark on the running clock here in the fourth quarter. Hill straight back to throw, looks right, got his man. That should be good for a first down for Crestview. And of course, it's Jeff Fio.
And that's part of it. Your offensive line set up a beautiful pocket for Caleb Hill. And what I really liked that he did is he kind of looked over to the wide side of the field where they had trips to the wide side, allowed the safety to kind of go back, and then Fio, beautiful curl route, really drove the ball nice, did Caleb Hill.
First and goal after the 11-yard pickup to the 7. All 4 pass completions by Hill have gone to Fio for a total of 44 yards. Running play and bursting into the end zone is Danny Moore. Holy smoke.
Very quick to the hole. Beautiful hole opened up by that offensive line over on that left side. And that will stop the continuous clock. So breath of fresh air for Crestview.
And they get off the shutout as well. That's the second rushing touchdown of the season for Danny Moore.
And as I touched on earlier, not knowing how it played out at Warren JFK, they had gone 7 consecutive corners that I could track without scoring.
Brandon Janssens, another member of the Janssens family, manages to punch it over the crossbar. And with 6:46 to go, Crestview has stopped the continuous clock, but still trails South Range 34-7 on the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
Buick and GMC lessees, get to the fall kickoff sale at the Stadium GM Superstore, where you can save thousands right now. Stop in for great lease deals like a new GMC Terrain from only $139 a month with 0 down. A new Buick Encore is now only $149 a month with 0 down. And a new Buick Enclave is now only $169 a month with 0 down. Plus, there is lease pull-ahead available and even 0% financing, which can save you thousands more. All at the store, where 0 down delivers every day. The Stadium GM Superstore in Salem.
A 5-minute and 36-second drive on a continuous clock for Crestview. Line drive kick picked up at the 41 and returned to about the 47. Only a 31-yard drive because it followed a turnover and it took 9 plays. So they earned those 7 points.
Boy, up man, Levi Taylor showing really good hands, a senior for Coach Yeagley.
He is one of the returnees from the injured duty.
It looks like Coach Yeagley's made wholesale changes, going to bring in a new quarterback up front. Nick Habeth, it looks like, is coming in a quarterback, all new offensive linemen.
That's a good-looking option fake there. Patrick McCabe, the ball carrier, his 5th carry of the year, and he loses 2.
Beautiful defensive play that time by Danny Moore. Coming up very strong from his outside linebacker position, not allowing him to go outside. Another tackle for loss for him.
Well, despite the difficult odds at the beginning of the ball game and the mounting score through the first half, the Crestview kids have not quit playing. Handoff, met at the point of attack.
Which, I mean, a very, Coach Cusick, very proud program, perennial playoff contender. Many, many years. I believe just in the last year, the streak was broken. Some 10, I think for one period, they had the longest streak in the playoffs. And then Poland took it over, and then Poland lost it last year based on their 4-6 season.
They're having a great bounce back year. No gain there. It's 3rd and 12. Gonna get it again. Little darting and dodging out to the 50, a pickup of 5, but it'll bring up 4th down for the Raiders.
And that's the mark of a program. I mean, when a coach establishes a culture, Jim, at a program, and you've gotten them to buy in at the lower levels, and you have tradition and you have some success, you're going to have the ebb and flow of enrollment numbers and the talent level. I mean, Coach Yeagley's had it at South Range.
Crestview a little late getting one of its folks onto the field. Fair catch called for and made at the 15-yard line with 4:42 to play. Crestview gets it back, trailing 34-7 on the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
Hi, Rob Fellman for Boardman Subaru, where we have one of the largest selections of the safest, most award-winning, and fuel-efficient vehicles on the road today. Subarus are rated the safest vehicles, period, with EyeSight technology that gives you an extra set of eyes on the road. KBB rates Subaru as the best overall brand. Most models get over 35 miles per gallon with automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. The all-new Boardman Subaru, just south of Route 224 on South Avenue.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
35-yard punt, no return on the fair catch. Crestview starts from its own 15-yard line. Seeing some fresh folks on the field on defense for South Range, as you might expect. Now we're going to get a timeout because everybody's got to get their personnel squared away.
And this is wonderful opportunities for kids to get out on the field on Friday night, under the lights, get a chance to get under some game tape. Coaches can take a look at some of their youngsters that might not otherwise have gotten a chance to play other than junior varsity football.
Yeah, it's real playing time at the varsity level, and it's likely, partially because of depth issues, but it's likely they'll see mostly the Crestview number ones here, so it's a really good test. And of course Crestview's fighting. They want to get as many yards and points as they can, so it is a good test. It's sometimes it's those times when you get in that last minute or 30 seconds or something, although when film breakdown comes, if you haven't, maybe you got one chance, one or two snaps.
Sure.
The deal is, did you do your assignment? It's not were you an impact player, but did you do what you were coached to do on that one play? Quick handoff, and the hole is quick to close.
Well, I think it's a case, you had touched on maybe Coach Cusick going to leave in his ones. It looks like there's basically all new players out there for Crestview, so really trying to give his young Rebels a real opportunity here under the lights to get on the field. At quarterback, Jim, it looks like they have in Brandon Jansen, a freshman.
They list Stephen Barr as their backup quarterback, but that would be in a regular game emergency situation.
Sure.
That is Brandon Jansen's. He's their place kicker as well. No gain on that previous play. Quick handoff, some high stepping, quick feet being demonstrated there by Tanner Davis, a sophomore. They say weighs 128 pounds.
I mean, you can hear this song, this Sweet Caroline in the background that you can hear through our mic. I mean, it is a beautiful song played by bands. I love that song. Just a melodic.
Now I know what to get you for Christmas.
It is great.
Just the Neil Diamond CD, and you're a happy guy.
It is amazing.
That was a 4-yard pickup on that play. It'll be 3rd and 6 for Crestview, which taking its time here as we approach the 3-minute mark in the fourth quarter.
And that's the way their offense runs. It's really not a hurry-up offense. They huddle.
It is this year, and again, it's partially because of personnel issues. They really prefer the up-tempo. This is Jansen's, and he's going to be dumped for a loss back at the 18.
A little bit of the protection broke down. Patrick McCabe, sophomore, breaking in for South Range on the tackle. Punting unit coming in for Crestview. Again, we're out of the 30-point mark, so normal clock situations.
There's essentially no game there.
Boy, and I got to tell you, moving forward, South Range, big game coming up.
Crestview having a lot of trouble getting its personnel squared away here. Now they do. Floating snap. Traditional punting style. That ball takes a Crestview bounce inside the 45 and picked up at the 42-yard line with 1 minute and 53 seconds to play.
Probably the best punt we have seen tonight in the situation with the wind coming at them. Beautiful booming punt with a lot of air under it.
That was a 40-yard punt. I think Nick Sherrill was the guy that kicked it out of there. So South Range from its own 42-yard line. Minute 53. Raiders took charge of this game early.
And did what they were supposed to, Jim.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, a team that's ranked very high in the polls and in their computer ranking, and you know, you are what you are. I mean, if you come into the game 5-0 and you've played some pretty good competition, which South Range really has, playing this independent schedule.
Big shift on the Crestview defense. Quick handoff and trying to spin to the outside. Once again, it is Patrick McCabe on the carry for South Range. 165-pound sophomore. So I think he's got as many carries here in the fourth quarter as he had all season coming in.
Boy,
gains 2 there.
And freshman number 60, Colton Murray, playing very strong at the nose. Point of attack for Crestview. Freshman. Good size, 6 foot 230. Something for Coach Cusick to build on, hopefully in the future here.
Well, again, he told me earlier in the week, he said if we were at normal strength, our starters, our regulars would be as good as anybody we play at our level. But he said, we're not that now, and it's not an excuse, it's just reality. And that would be the same with virtually any football team.
Sure, and it's always difficult at the lower levels where there's just not the enrollment, there's just not enough kids. I mean, basically you're going to have 14, 15 really good players.
3rd and 7 on what may be the final snap of the football game.
Then you accentuate the rest of the roster with good role players that can kind of fill in.
Yeah, we just clicked under 30 seconds, so this should be the final snap. And struggling to pick up 2 more, Patrick McCabe.
Really good effort tonight by both teams. Crestview obviously showed a lot of heart playing this out to the end.
That's going to be it. South Range is heading to the bench. Crestview will do the same. We tick down the final 2 seconds, and South Range comes out of this road trip to Crestview as a 6-0 football team, and Crestview's struggles against really good competition in this part of its schedule drops the Rebels to 2-4. We'll have a wrap-up for you in just a minute here on the iHeartRadio TV Game of the Week on Armstrong.
The history, the sports, the stories, the events. Armstrong Local Programming puts the focus on our community. Watch to learn about new events or discover the rich history of our area. You can find local programming on your local programming channel and on demand. Want even more? Subscribe to the Armstrong One Wire channel on YouTube. It's our town all the time with Armstrong Local Programming. One Wire, infinite possibilities.
Well, I hope you enjoyed a look at the South Range Raiders in this telecast. Now a 6-0 football team as we get ready to leave you. Peyton Remish had a 115-yard night on only 10 carries and scored a touchdown, a ramble of more than 50 yards. And Anela Bazaka was really impressive. Ran the ball 4 times for 82 yards and also wound up completing 7 of 12 passes for 138 yards and 4 touchdowns. And I think you touched on it, Mario. You saw tonight from South Range what you would expect to see from a team in its situation, playing a team that was a little wounded, and also maybe coming off a game against Brookfield when they probably didn't perform as well as they thought they could have or should have. So they, like you said, they did what they were supposed to tonight.
They did. I mean, good teams are supposed to be good. I mean, that's what makes a good team good. So when you play a team that you have more depth and you just basically have better players, you should do what you're supposed to do is win. And I think more than anything, I mean, you take Anela Bazaka out of it, take Remish out of it, take Matthias out of it. Their defensive line really stepped up pretty big tonight. And, you know, on the average, Crestview's running back was coming in 6.6 average, over 550 yards a game. You know, pretty stifled, almost like a 2.2 average. Defensive line played off the charts tonight and really caused pressure with a small front. You know, a lot of good things for South Range moving forward.
And as we mentioned also late in the telecast, some positives for Crestview. They executed some things well late, moved the ball a little bit better, and, you know, once they get healthy, they could be play a significant spoiler role down the stretch. Speaking of down the stretch, we will be stretched out. Our next telecast will be of the October 13th game, but it should be a good one between Lakeview and Poland. We hope you'll join us for that. In the meantime, reminding you once again, for Mario DiMartino, our statistician, Len Gessler, our videographer, editor, and producer, Greg Roten, I'm Jim Campbell. Our final score in this one, the undefeated South Range Raiders 34, the Crestview Rebels 7.